The void of space is silent, but the chaos within it is deafening. 100,000 miles above Earth, a battle is unfolding that could determine the fate of humanity. The Vanguard, one of the last remaining capital ships of the United Earth Alliance, floats in the midst of a field of debris. Remnants of worlds once full of life, now nothing more than dust and broken fragments. A distant sun casts a faint glow over the battlefield, but its light does little to illuminate the dread in the hearts of those on the front lines. The Norn, the invaders, have arrived. Their ships, sleek and predatory, cut through space with terrifying ease. The warships of the United Earth Alliance are no match for their advanced technology. These are beings who have conquered galaxy after galaxy, erasing civilizations that dared to oppose them. And now, it's humanity's turn. On the Vanguard's bridge, Captain Tessa Rhee stands with a cold gaze, her hands clenched around the control panel. Her eyes scan the holo-display, tracking the enemy fleet as they position themselves in a formation that's far too precise. She knows their tactics. They've learned them, studied every move of humanity's fleets, anticipating every strategy, countering each new technology with terrifying efficiency. The Norn have always been one step ahead, and today they plan to end humanity's existence. "Status report," Rhee commands, her voice steady, but there's a trace of unease. "We're outnumbered 4-1, Captain," says Lieutenant Alara, the ship's comms officer, her fingers flying across the interface. "The Norn have deployed their assault fleet. They're cutting through our defenses with ease. We've lost contact with the 3rd and 7th fleets. The command ships are gone." "Continue evasive maneuvers," Rhee orders, her eyes never leaving the viewport. The enemy ships are closing in. Their sleek, dark vessels, reminiscent of predatory animals in the wild, reflect the cold emptiness of space. The Norn are as much a myth as a nightmare, stories told by those who survived their initial wave of destruction. But those stories are fading now. Today, the nightmare is real. Suddenly, the Vanguard lurches as enemy fire strikes its hull. Series of explosions rip through the ship, knocking crew members off their feet, sending sparks arcing through the control panels. Red lights flash. The ship's gravity falters for a moment, leaving the crew members floating in the zero gravity. Environment. Rhee grabs hold of the nearest console and yells into the chaos, "Get us back on course! Return fire!" The Vanguard's weapons systems flare to life, bright beams of energy streaking into the blackness of space, striking one of the Norn ships. But it's not enough. The Norn ships are faster, their shields unbreakable. For every shot, the Vanguard fires 2 or 3 enemy ships retaliate with deadly accuracy. "Shields are at 20%, Captain," shouts Ensign Rax, the ship's weapons officer. "We can't hold them off for much longer." Rhee's heart pounds in her chest, but her voice remains calm. "Keep firing, do not give up, the battle intensifies." The Norn fleet moves in, deploying smaller strike ships which dart like deadly sharks in the water. Each one is a perfect machine of destruction, their weapons designed to tear through the hulls of even the toughest human warships. Rhee watches. As one of the Vanguard's secondary frigates is obliterated, its remains flickering in the vacuum like a dying star, Alara's voice breaks through the din of alarms and blaring sirens. "Captain, there's something strange." She taps a few commands into her terminal. "A new ship. It's coming straight for us." "Incoming ship," Rhee repeats, her voice tight. "Can we identify it?" The holoscreen flickers and shifts, showing an image of the approaching vessel. It's unlike anything the crew has seen before, a strange hybrid of human and alien design, as if it were built by a race that combined the best features of both. The hull is old, battered, but functional. It moves with purpose, dodging enemy fire with an agility that shouldn't be possible for such a craft. "That ship," Alara's voice cracks, "that ship's human." Rhee squints. "What do you mean human? There shouldn't be any ships like that left." Alara punches in a few more commands. "It's broadcasting a signal on a frequency we haven't seen in years. It's an ancient code. From Earth's pre-war archives, it's from the Aurora." The name hits Rhee like a punch to the gut. The Aurora was a legendary ship from humanity's first attempts at interstellar exploration, lost to history. Its disappearance was one of the great mysteries of the Galactic Age. But how could it have survived the Norn's purge? And why had it returned now? Before Rhee can process the implications, the ship makes its move. The hybrid vessel unleashes a pulse of bright blue energy, unlike anything humanity has ever seen. The beam tears through the Norn fleet, scattering their ships like leaves in the wind. A series of explosions rip through their ranks, and for a fleeting moment, the Vanguard and the rest of the human fleet see the chance they've been praying for: victory. "That's impossible," Ensign Rax breathes. "It's like their weapons are disrupting the Norn's technology. The Norn are momentarily disoriented. Their ships falter, their AI systems glitching, unable to adapt quickly enough. The enemy fleet begins to scatter, regrouping in a desperate attempt to recover. But as quickly as it arrived, the mysterious ship disappears back into the blackness of space, leaving only questions behind." "Where did it go?" Alara asks, eyes wide with confusion. "Whoever they are," Rhee says, her voice low, "they've given us a chance, and we need to take it." But as the crew struggles to regain control of the situation, an ominous realization settles in. This battle, this war, is far from over. The Norn are relentless, and humanity is only just beginning to uncover the mysteries of its own survival. "Status on the fleet?" Rhee asks, trying to focus on the task at hand. "We've lost 20% of our ships," Alara reports. "But the Norn are regrouping. This is just the beginning." Rhee's eyes narrow as she stares into the dark abyss of space. "We need to find out who that ship was and how they were able to disrupt the Norn systems. The fate of humanity may depend on it." The battle rages on, but something has shifted. The Vanguard has been given a reprieve, a temporary edge against the Norn, thanks to that mysterious hybrid ship. But in the cold, indifferent expanse of space, moments of hope are fleeting. Captain Tessa Rhee stands at the helm, her mind racing as the chaos of the battlefield unfolds before her. The ship is still damaged, its shields failing, its engines sputtering, but for the first time in days she feels something she hasn't dared to feel: hope. "Captain, incoming transmission," Alara announces, breaking the silence. Rhee's eyes snap to her officer. "Who is it?" "It's the Aurora," Alara replies, her voice uncertain. "It's them." The Aurora, the very ship that had vanished so long ago. Rhee's heart pounds in her chest, and a mix of dread and anticipation floods her mind. There's something about this ship, about the people aboard it, that doesn't sit right. The Aurora wasn't just lost. It was abandoned, left behind. When humanity's first expedition into deep space went horribly wrong, but if it had returned, if it had survived all these years, what kind of people would it have become? "Patch it through," Rhee orders, trying to keep her voice steady. A crackling sound fills the room, followed by a deep, gravelly voice. "Captain Rhee," the voice says, with a thick, otherworldly accent. "We've been watching you." Rhee's brow furrows. "Who are you? What is this ship? The Aurora was lost over 50 years ago." The voice on the other end hesitates, then responds, "That was the plan." The words send a chill down Rhee's spine. What does that mean? The Aurora wasn't lost in a typical sense. Its disappearance had been shrouded in mystery, with only fragments of data available. Some believed it had ventured too far into uncharted space. Others believed it was destroyed in a failed experiment. But now, the truth begins to surface, and it's darker than anyone had ever imagined. The holographic projection flickers, and suddenly, a figure appears on the screen. A man, wearing an old faded military uniform, his face scarred and weathered by time. His eyes, though, burn with a strange intensity. He looks human, but there's something unsettling about him, something unnatural. His skin is slightly too pale, his movements too deliberate, as if he's not entirely in sync with his surroundings. There's a coldness to his presence, an aura of something long forgotten. "I am Captain Irene Hollis," the figure states, "of the Aurora. We've been waiting for this moment." Rhee's breath catches. "Waiting for what? You've been gone for decades." "What happened to the crew of the Aurora?" Hollis tilts his head, his gaze unflinching. "We didn't disappear, Captain. We were forced to change. Humanity's survival was never about fighting the Norn with sheer force. It was about understanding them, their technology, their biology. We found the key to defeating them, but we had to leave everything behind to protect it. Rhee's mind races. What do you mean, understanding them? The Norn are more advanced than any species we've ever encountered. They're not like us. They can't be understood like us. Hollis's expression hardens. You're wrong. The Norn aren't invincible. They're an engineered race, created by forces much older than the galaxy itself. We've learned this through years of studying them, and we've adapted. We've become something else, something that can fight them on their level. Rhee steps back, her pulse quickening. What are you saying? You're telling me that you... Yes, Hollis interrupts. We've evolved. The Aurora is the result of a program designed to interface with the Norn's technology. We've merged their systems with ours, enhanced our biology with their genetic code. We can fight them because we've become like them. But we're still human. We never lost our resolve. A silence falls between them, heavy with the weight of his words. Rhee can feel her stomach twist, the realization hitting her like a ton of bricks. The Aurora's crew hadn't just survived. They had become something else, and something new, something alien. Alara speaks up, her voice shaky. You're telling us that the Aurora crew, they've been genetically altered. They're... Hollis's gaze turns toward her, and his eyes flash with an unsettling intensity. We didn't have a choice. The Norn are not just conquerors. They are creations, part of a vast experiment. That spans eons. To defeat them, we had to become part of that experiment. But we retained what makes us human. We know what it means to fight for survival, for freedom, for the future of our people. And we can teach you how. Rhee's mind reels, as the pieces begin to fall into place. The Norn weren't just an alien force bent on conquest. They were part of something far larger, a dark web of cosmic forces that spanned across galaxies. Humanity was caught in the crossfire of something far more ancient and incomprehensible, and the crew of the Aurora, these altered beings, had discovered the key to fighting back. We don't have much time, Hollis says, cutting through Rhee's thoughts. We need to find the heart of the Norn Empire, a location they've been keeping hidden for millennia. Their true weakness lies there, and we can help you get there, if you're willing to accept what we've become. Rhee looks out at the stars, her mind racing with the implications of his words. Can humanity truly fight this war by becoming something other than human? And what would it mean for their identity, their culture, their very soul? The vanguard is losing ground, but there's a new sense of purpose coursing through the crew. Humanity's survival is no longer just about brute force. It's about understanding their enemy and perhaps becoming like them. But at what cost? Where do we start? Rhee asks, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. Hollis's eyes glint. There's a planet, deep in the outer rim. It's where the Norn keep their most valuable secrets. We've already sent a scout ship there, but we lost contact. We'll need your fleet to push forward to make it through the blockade. If we're to stand a chance, it starts there. Rhee feels the weight of the decision hanging in the air. The Norn might be technologically superior, but they had their own weakness, their own blind spots. And now humanity was in possession of a weapon they never thought they'd have, the knowledge to fight back. But as she looks at the image of Hollis, she wonders, what price would humanity pay for this power? She doesn't hesitate. Prepare. The fleet. We leave for the outer rim in 2 hours and get ready for a new kind of war. The Vanguard sails deeper into uncharted space, its hull battered, but still holding strong. Captain Tessa Rhee stands on the bridge, gazing out into the abyss, her mind heavy with the weight of what lies ahead. The fleet behind her is a ragtag collection of human ships, each one a testament to humanity's resilience, but all still scarred from the relentless assault of the Norn. There is no turning back now. The mission to the outer rim is their last hope, and they must succeed. This is a one-way trip, Captain, Lieutenant Alara says, her voice tight with worry as she monitors the fleet's progress. If the Norn have set up a blockade around that planet, we'll be walking right into the heart of their empire. It's a suicide mission. Rhee turns to face her. We don't have a choice. If what Hollis said is true, the Norn's secrets are buried there. We need those secrets if we're going to have any chance at defeating them. The image of Captain Irene Hollis lingers in her mind. He had promised them the answers they needed, but his words haunted her. The Aurora crew's transformation, becoming something part human, part Norn, was something Rhee had never fully understood. And now, humanity was being asked to follow in their footsteps. Could they really become like the Norn without losing themselves? Could they sacrifice their humanity for victory? As the fleet moves further into the outer rim, the stars seem to grow dimmer. This part of space is ancient and untouched, a void where few explorers have dared venture. The planets here are abandoned, their civilizations long forgotten, their histories erased by the passage of time. Only one world in this desolate expanse still holds meaning, a small, barely charted planet hidden in the shadow of a dying star. Hollis had claimed it was there that the Norn kept their most precious secrets. But what could be so important that the Norn would hide it in the darkest corner of the galaxy? Rhee surveys the crew on the bridge. Tension is thick in the air, each member of the crew silently preparing for what they might find. The mission is a gamble. They could discover the key to turning the tide in the war, or they could fall straight into a trap set by the Norn. But in this war, there's no room for hesitation. Humanity has already lost too much. We're entering the outer rim, Alara announces, her voice strained. Scan results are unusual. The planet's atmosphere is heavily shielded, almost like it's being actively blocked from our sensors. Of course it is, Rhee mutters under her breath. The Norn don't leave anything to chance. We're not getting a clear picture of the surface, Alara continues, her fingers tapping frantically on the console. There's a strong gravitational pull, too. If we attempt a landing, the ships will need to compensate for the instability. REE gives a curt nod. Prepare for a descent. We'll have to land manually. The fleet slows, their engines whirring as they approach the planet. As they draw closer, the atmosphere of the world below flickers on the screens, a thick cloud of dust and gas swirling over jagged mountains and deep, dark valleys. The planet feels wrong. The colors are muted, the shadows too deep, as if the world itself has been drained of life. And yet, there's something undeniably artificial about it, as though the landscape itself has been constructed, shaped, and manipulated by forces unknown. We're not going to be alone for long, Rhee says, her voice hardening. Alara, get ready to deploy the landing teams. Everyone else prepare for a ground assault. As they breach the planet's atmosphere, the view outside the Vanguard becomes increasingly distorted. The ship shudders under the pressure, its hull groaning as it plunges through layers of atmospheric resistance. Inside, the crew braces for impact, securing themselves in their stations as the turbulence intensifies. The ground comes into view, jagged peaks and valleys, like a twisted landscape from a nightmare. The landing zone is near a cluster of rocky outcroppings, a perfect place for the Norn to set up a base of operations. Rhee's stomach tightens as the Vanguard steadies itself for landing. It's eerily quiet, almost too quiet. Touchdown in 5, Alara announces, her voice strained but steady. As the ship's landing gears touch down on the rocky surface, Rhee feels the impact through the soles of her boots. The Vanguard is a huge vessel, and the tremor that runs through it is felt in every corner of the ship. The gravity stabilizers whir to life, and the ship's engines hum quietly in the background. Deploy the teams, Rhee orders as the hangar doors begin to open, revealing the desolate alien world outside. We move out immediately. The air is thick with dust, and the wind howls through the barren landscape. The planet's surface is a mix of rough, rocky terrain and vast, unnatural structures that rise out of the ground, their surfaces covered in strange, alien symbols. The land is littered with remnants of old, long-forgotten technology, ancient devices that pulse faintly, with a dim, unnatural glow. Whatever the Norn have left behind here, it's clear that this world holds the key to their true power. As the landing teams step off the ship, weapons raised and eyes scanning the surroundings, Rhee feels the weight of the situation settle over her. The air is heavy with foreboding, and the distant shadows of the mountains seem to loom over them, as if watching, waiting. The planet feels alive, but not in the way any living world should. There is no warmth, no vitality here. Only cold, calculating silence. Rhee leads her team forward, the ground crunching beneath their boots. The landscape is like nothing she's ever seen. Towering structures rise from the earth, their designs elegant but foreign, built from materials that don't belong to this planet. Their surfaces shimmer in the dim light as though they are not quite solid, not quite real. "What are these things?" one of her soldiers mutters, eyes wide with awe and fear. "They're not like anything we've ever encountered." Rhee doesn't respond, her focus laser sharp. She knows that the answers they seek are somewhere ahead, hidden within the heart of these structures. And yet, there's a nagging feeling. At the back of her mind, something about this place feels off, too quiet, too purposeful. As they approach the entrance to the largest of the alien structures, a sudden explosion rocks the ground beneath them. The earth trembles, as if waking from a deep slumber. Out of the shadows, a figure appears. A Norn, but not one of the ordinary soldiers. This one is larger, its eyes glowing with an unnatural intensity, its form shifting in and out of view as if it's not entirely physical. Rhee's heart skips a beat. This isn't just a Norn warrior. This is something more, something ancient. And then the figure speaks, its voice low and guttural. "You should not have come here." The ground shakes violently beneath Captain Tessa Rhee and her team as the massive Norn figure steps forward, its form flickering in and out of sight, a terrifying distortion in the air. Its eyes burn with a cold, malevolent intelligence, an ancient malice that seems to pierce the very core of Rhee's being. The Norn's voice echoes in the empty, dust-choked air, a sound that feels like it comes from the depths of space, itself as if the very planet were speaking through it. "You should not have come here," it repeats, its tone low and ominous, like a warning from the void. Rhee's heart beats faster, but she forces herself to remain calm. She knows that fear will only lead to defeat. She raises her rifle, the weight of the weapon heavy in her hands, but something inside her tells her that this enemy is different. This is no mere soldier of the Norn. This is something older, more powerful. "We're not leaving without answers," Rhee says, her voice steady, though her mind races. "What are you? What is this place?" The Norn figure tilts its head as if considering her words. Its form flickers again, and for a moment, Rhee swears she sees 1,000 other faces, each one twisted in agony, each one lost in time. Then, just as quickly, the illusion vanishes and the figure is solid once more. "Answers," it repeats. "The answers you seek were never meant for you. You are not ready to know the truth." "No one is." "Then help us get ready," Rhee demands, stepping forward, her team following her lead. "We came here to stop the Norn, to end this war. If you know what we need, tell us." The Norn's eyes flare brighter, its form shuddering with an unsettling energy. "You do not understand. The war you fight is but a speck in the grand design. You are ants scrambling to survive on a battlefield you do not control." A low, eerie hum fills the air as the ground beneath them begins to tremble once more, and the massive structure ahead of them begins to open, revealing a vast, cavernous space within. It's as if the planet itself is reacting to the presence of the Norn, preparing for something ancient to awaken. "You are here, not because you are chosen, but because you are a part of something much greater," the Norn continues, its voice now seeping into Rhee's mind, twisting her thoughts. "The Norn were not created for war. We were created to usher in the next stage of evolution, not just of our kind, but of all life in the galaxy. You humans, in your arrogance, think you can fight us, but you will become us in the end. There is no escaping your fate." Rhee's mind reels. The words strike at her core, rattling her very sense of purpose. Was this truly the key to defeating the Norn? Or had they been wrong all along? Were the Norn right? Was humanity doomed to become them? But then, she remembers, the Aurora crew. Hollis had said they'd adapted, merged with the Norn. They had done what seemed impossible. They had fought the Norn, not by defeating them, but by becoming part of their power. It was the only way to understand them, to fight them on their level. Rhee clenches her fists, the realization hitting her with the force of a comet. "No," she says, her voice cutting through the Norn's words. "We're not like you. We won't become you." The Norn figure's eyes flash with what could almost be amusement. "So you don't have a choice. The Norn are not merely conquerors, we are creators, we are evolution, we are the future. The cavern before them seems to come alive, revealing a massive, spiraling structure deep inside the planet. It's a tower, its surface covered in strange glowing runes, each one pulsating with an eerie energy. Rhee's instincts scream at her to retreat, but she stands her ground. "I don't care what you are," Rhee says, her voice strong now, her resolve hardening. "We will stop you." The Norn figure smiles, a terrifying, hollow smile, before it raises its hand, and the air around them crackles with energy. Suddenly, the ground beneath Rhee's feet splits open, and a wave of force slams into them, sending her and her team sprawling. Soldiers shout as they scramble to maintain their footing. The Norn isn't just a being of flesh and bone. It's a being of pure, unrelenting energy, able to warp reality itself. Rhee struggles to her feet, her body aching from the blast. She's covered in dust, her weapon knocked out of her hands, but her mind is clear. They've faced impossible odds before, they can do it again. Her team begins to rally, moving into formation, but the Norn is already advancing, its form rippling in and out of reality, faster than the eye can track. "Brace yourselves," Rhee orders, picking up her rifle and running toward the tower. The Norn figure raises its arms and a blast of energy erupts from its hands, tearing apart the earth around them. The soldiers return fire, but their weapons have little effect. The Norn is a living, breathing weapon, capable of bending space and time to its will. "Destroy the tower," Rhee shouts, her voice carrying over the chaos. "That's where the answers are. We need to shut it down." As her team moves toward the structure, the Norn shifts its focus to them, its eyes narrowing. The ground trembles again, and the very air around them becomes thick with static. But Rhee is determined. They've come too far to turn back now. She charges toward the tower, knowing that their survival, humanity's survival, depends on breaking the Norn's stranglehold on the galaxy. They reach the tower's base, and Rhee watches as one of her soldiers sets a charge. The Norn screams, its voice now a high-pitched wail that reverberates in Rhee's mind. But it's too late. The charge detonates with a deafening roar, sending a shockwave of energy through the air. The Norn figure howls in agony as the tower collapses, its energy surging out of control, destabilizing the entire structure. The ground cracks open, and the sky above darkens as the planet begins to disintegrate. "We've done it," Rhee says, her voice hoarse, her heart pounding with the realization of their victory. But even as she breathes a sigh of relief, she knows the war is far from over. This battle may have been won, but the Norn are still out there, and they are far from finished. Humanity has learned something crucial today, that their strength lies not just in their weapons, but in their resolve. The Norn may have shaped the galaxy, but humanity has something they cannot replicate: the unyielding spirit to fight, to adapt, and to survive. And as the dust settles over the shattered remains of the planet, Captain Rhee knows one thing for certain. Humanity's war is just beginning. The universe may have erased 1,000 worlds, but it will never erase humanity's resolve.